today. We have David King. We're really lucky to have him. Before we get into it, it would be really great if I could throw it over to you for acknowledgement of country.
So my name's David King, Gundungurra man from the Blue Mountains. I'd really like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of all the lands that this recording may end up on or where people will view it from. I'm currently travelling in a vehicle across Wiradjuri country. I'll then cut into Gundungurra country, my home country, and this one's probably going to be shared across Darug lands. So on behalf of those elders, past and present, I acknowledge their continuous connection to this beautiful land. And in my language, Arangji, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Beautiful. So it's in Māori tradition, which is, from New Zealand, where we do a whakatauki, which is an introduction about who we are. So I'll offer that as well as a sign of respect. So ki te kahore he whakakitenga ko ngaro te iwi, no ingarangi oku te puna, no Aotearoa aho, ko Amy aho, tēnā koe. So without foresight or vision, the people will be lost. My ancestors are from England, from Aotearoa, and my name is Amy, and I would like to say hello and welcome. It's a really great honour to be able to have you here.
Thank you.
No
it's
worries.
Great to be here.
Good.
That was a very beautiful Maori welcome. That was awesome. Thank you.
No worries. My mother told me I better be doing that or otherwise it's disrespectful. So got to follow mother's orders.
True. I had a similar type of mother. Exactly right.
Oh, brilliant. So for those that might not know you, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
For technically a 9-to-5 job, we work in healthcare, trying to look after Aboriginal community and the broader community, basically through patient care. And then outside of that, we get involved with a lot of land care, bush care, TAFE, uni, schools, all the different organisations, just to share our love for country, our connection to country. My mum was Auntie Mary King. She was born in the gully in Katoomba. She was very good at sharing a story. A few years back, she passed away, and somehow I sort of got stuck with the beautiful honour of continuing the stories of my mum and her family, who were just beautiful Gundungurra people from the Blue Mountains. So yeah, at the end of the day, I'd probably remove weeds, restore country, and drink a good cup of tea, which is what also my mum taught me how to drink. So I get a bit of a nickname, Dingo Darbo. Dingo being a bit isolated, because you get a bit isolated when you're looking after country, and Darbo means good black tea in Gundungurra. So I like a good cup of tea.
That's awesome. Awesome. So through you going through this experience of supporting community and working on land, what are some of the favourite things that you've experienced or things that have really just touched your heart?
Connection to country's got to be probably the most favourite thing that I enjoy, primarily for our Aboriginal communities across this great land. Country was removed. It was deemed as no one was living here. So therefore, to actually have the opportunity to restore Australia back to its native bush allows all the flora and fauna to flourish. And then it brings back the stories. I've found countless aunts and uncles from the land where I come from, where I belong, relax, share their stories, reconnect, and allow themselves to basically be Aboriginal. You weren't allowed to be an Aboriginal person for about just over 200 years. So to be able to see that happen, I will remove weeds and restore country till the day I move on, because I see the joy in the Aboriginal community. But we also see the broader community come along, and when they sense that connection, they sense the spirit of this land, all of a sudden they understand why we love country so much, why we love community, and why our stories are so real, because when you sit on country, you connect. So that is my favourite part. I don't mind if they call me a bloke that removes weeds the rest of my life, because, yeah, that's where I've seen the beautiful stories come and flourish.
Speaking from New Zealand, I have really strong connection to country as well, and I understand the spiritual and emotional connection. So being able to repair that, I can't imagine how amazing that must be. So that's really awesome. Yeah. So what are some of these challenges as well? Because, you know, you're having to undo a colonial construct and, you know, create something that is possibly uncharted territory for what has been 200 years. How do you do that?
Wow, good question. It comes back to values. I think when people see the value in country and not economics, I think you see social aspect, health aspect. It changes how you look at land, and it changes how you operate within a community. So that value that comes in a marketplace doesn't last. And as we do in our welcomes and acknowledgements, Indigenous people see the value for this generation and next generation. So everything we do is to sustain forever, not to just sustain for one generation, it's for multiple. So it's hard to change the opinions of quite often agencies and a lot of people in community, because of the fact is they just see an economic value. We just got to take that away, and you will see more value come economically when you look after country and people. Another challenge is the fact that when our culture was destroyed, it's caused a lot of disparity within my people, and I hope that as time goes on, that as we unite together again, we can bring that cultural change to this land of Australia. I think everybody will be really blessed. I think I started to remove weed. I wasn't too good at arguing in a boardroom. I think I was better sitting on country. And as I sat on country, I think the boardroom started to come to where I was sitting. And my aunts and uncles, who are very, very supportive of everything that I do and get behind me all the way, have really allowed that change. So it's a hard journey. It's not easy, but as we bring proper values to country, we see change.
I guess I personally don't believe it is the responsibility of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders to solely make this change. What are some ways that people from colonial history can help to make these changes as well?
Wow, you got some good questions. I think one of the things that when I say family, like quite often they say, like, does that mean you and your two daughters? Family and culture is your family, like your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents, your cousins. So my family aim for community, they aim for connection. I think we need to get people out to understand what a community really is. It's not putting up more fences and then sort of like basically saying, wow, we have a suburb here. A community is a lot different. And if we can get people to understand country, I hear a lot of fear sometimes around native fauna. Everyone's sort of scared of the average spider and snake, and they're scared of fires and floods, and they do everything they can to stop them. It's a part of your journey. Our stories come through various animals, various weather patterns. So if we could get people to understand what real community is, I think it could begin that journey to connection. Yeah, it's not easy. There's too much fear sometimes. I think we seem to love to generate fear, and then somehow fear means you seem to get more and more or less connection with people, you know.
I think some of that fear potentially comes from having to face your own history and your own privilege, and some of the atrocities your ancestors have done. So I wonder, I don't know, I'm not going to speak for white people, but you know, that is potentially one of those factors around that as well. How do you think we can start this conversation in building community? Is there something that we can do to start reaching out, and who do we reach out to?
There are so many stories in our community. I live in the Mid-Mountains area. I just know that around where I live, there are so many people with so many beautiful stories. I always find it lovely to, whenever I get to share at TAFE, we always seem to sit in a circle. And I think we don't have enough circles these days where you sit together. I'm becoming a little bit either famous or infamous for rolling out this little garbage bin for all my talks. I always bring up a little analogy of when was Aboriginal garbage night, and of course everybody grew because and everybody was treated equally. So you didn't have a garbage night, you know. We just looked after and cared for everything. And I think if we bring back those yarning circles, the stories we can share where you've come from, we'll all begin to learn and we'll all begin to understand. Sometimes even if politicians, as we saw recently from the big fella in Canberra, if we throw out a line, sometimes we can generate good stories from that, you know. When you realise what did happen here, all of a sudden, you know, if a person's genuine, I'll turn around and understand, wow, it really did happen in this country. And a lot of these recent protests relate to us. It isn't an overseas story. It's a story that happened here as well. So yeah, sitting down, having the conversations, getting a true history, and then working together to resolve that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And yeah, I think I hope that the conversation continues. It's not just something that's part of a trend, and that we do continue having these conversations. And yeah, let's have a talk. Let's get in a circle and talk about these things. So that is really brilliant. Yeah. Awesome. Is there anything else that you would like to add, or something that you would really like, you know, the wider community to know?
You know, I live in the Blue Mountains, and I got to acknowledge the work that's being done by the traditional custodians. You know, your Darug, your Gundungurra, your Wiradjuri, your Darkinjung, your Darawal, Ngunnawal, all the ones that are in our areas, and the Aboriginal people that have found themselves through some reason of their journey in the Blue Mountains. We have a lot of good people doing a lot of good work. So if any organisation's sort of looking for someone to yarn or someone just to share, we have plenty of people that are willing, with beautiful, kind-hearted stories. So that connection's still there. I think the Blue Mountains, my mum always shared with me, is a very beautiful place, because a lot of things happened off the mountains that were quite horrendous. Yes, it did happen in the mountains, but the community up here has always been strong. It's always, for the majority, been very kind-hearted. So hopefully through these sort of moments, we can continue our story and continue our growth and our reconnection.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, to everyone else that's watching this is a really great opportunity, if you are an organisation, to reach out to community and talk to the traditional custodians. and have that conversation. So yeah, that's really brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been a true honour. I know that you are super busy, as I can see you're in the midst.
Oh no,
of
it's just at work. I work for a fantastic organisation that allows us to share our stories. The organisation I work for really encourages Aboriginal staff and Aboriginal staff to share their story, Aboriginal staff to connect. So, even today, I'm on my way back in from Wiradjuri country, and the management tried to make sure that we looked after a part of our community. So, yeah, I've always been, in my opinion, blessed and honoured. And, but thank you for asking. Thank you for reaching out. I think that's the first step. And sometimes it hurts. Sometimes some of the stories cause a bit of pain, but I think all of us are pretty much genuine and are happy to share and work through together and, link arm in arm when we're allowed to once this current part of history changes and move on together.
Yeah, awesome. Now, just quickly, are there some organisations that we can reach out to or websites that you think are really good?
In the Blue Mountains, we have a really good Aboriginal officer that works at Blue Mountain City Council. You also have your Gundungurra and Darug traditional custodians. If you speak to the lovely staff up at Blue Mountains Council, they will pass you on to those groups. We have many organisations, but Blue Mountain City Council has always sort of really worked with us. There's some interesting stories in our past, but I think it's just getting better and better. So
awesome.
It's with social media, it's really easy to find somebody these days and have a yarn.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Okay. In my language, Arangji again. Thank you.
Ka kite anō.
See ya.